You know, one person I always believe in, and that is Eliot Shorr-Parks, who joins us right now with a training camp report. Eliot.
What up? How you guys doing? I thought there
Whoa.
was more coming there.
No.
Yeah,
Eliot.
That's one of those spike intros.
Yeah. Well, look, man, you got to read the tone.
Yeah. Well, you have to wonder if Jack had beat Joe in golf, if it could have been him out there golfing today.
I know.
But I'm happy to be able to talk to you two.
They wouldn't have let me. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I lost golf
sorry,
at
buddy.
tennis.
All
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Wait,
People
where
don't
did
talk
we?
about it.
Where was it? Where were we? Oh, it was earlier today when we were. So we talked in. Just to clarify, Nick Sirianni will be on the show tomorrow at 4. We did talk to him today, but while we were there, Jack was asked about losing the competition by Eagles employees.
Yeah.
Good to know they're locked in on training camp.
Look,
I said, don't you have a Super Bowl to win?
Yeah, it was not. I want to be clear. It was not anybody in football.
No, I'm kidding.
No coaches, no players. All right, Eliot. So, just I guess big question. Anything big from camp today? Who looked good? Who was playing cornerback? How did Jalen look? What were the big takeaways from practice today?
Yeah, so I think the biggest takeaway for today is it feels like we're finally starting to get some clarity on what's going to happen in that secondary. I mean, we've talked after every practice all year, and it is always, maybe it'll be him, maybe it'll be him. Today, it felt like we got a preview of what the secondary is going to look like. So for the first time all camp, Keely Ringo didn't get any first-team reps. So it was Adoree Jackson to start the day. Jacorian Bennett got in there and did some first-team reps. Mac McWilliams, the rookie, got some first-team reps. And even Cooper DeJean, who has not taken any outside cornerback reps all camp, got out there and did it. So, I wouldn't say the competition is over, but it certainly feels like Keely, who took third and second-team reps today, might not be in it anymore. So that, I would say, is probably the big news at corner. And then at safety, it was Andrew Makuba for what I feel was the majority of the first-team reps. Cooper was still out there at times in base, but when they were in nickel, it was Andrew Makuba out there at safety. And it really feels like Sidney Brown might have blown his chance at winning this job. He had like 10 or 11 practices where Makuba was either injured or just coming back from injury, and now Makuba's getting more first-team reps than ever. So I would say the big story of the day was some potential clarity in the secondary.
So we'll get to the cornerback thing second. First, Drew Makuba, you don't want to take away too much from a preseason game, but I think one of the things that they're missing without C.J. Gardner-Johnson is that he's sort of a ball hawk. He was in the right place at the right time, and it's not like either of the turnovers that Makuba was involved in was some sort of outstanding play. The interception just sort of, it was good coverage, but it sort of ended up in his lap, and the fumble as well. But there is something too. It just seems like there are guys in football who have a sense for where the ball is going to be. And, I got the sense they were pretty high on him when they drafted him. But you have a performance like that when nobody else is going and taking the job. I think he put himself in position to win the job on Saturday.
Yeah, I think, and it's a corner too, but especially at safety, they've just been waiting for somebody to step up and do something where, that stands out or have a great game or two great practices in a row. And you're right that, picking up a fumble, he didn't force the fumble. He didn't run from halfway across the field to get it, but he realized it was out before anybody else and he got it. And then on the interception, I agree, not like a great play by the Cleveland offense, but I do think it's noteworthy that for someone where his size was considered a bit of an issue. I mean, that was a crowded space right there. He got through them. Now, maybe his, tiny stature is helpful there, but regardless, he fought through, got the ball, and made the play. So if you think about the guy he'd be replacing in Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, he wasn't great snap to snap at safety. What he was great at was making plays when they were there. So maybe what they'll do is they'll view Makuba as, you know what, we'll take some rookie pains early on. We will deal with maybe snap to snap, him not being a great NFL safety yet, if he's making, one big play every 3 weeks where he's getting the ball back for us.
Now, CB2 seems a little more you said it seems like there's some resolution. It seems like the resolution is that Keely Ringo isn't going to be the guy.
Exactly.
But if they have Cooper there, if they have Adoree Jackson there, and they have Jacorian Bennett, I thought Jacorian Bennett on Saturday had some good reps in there. You know, it was one thing that Ross Tucker pointed out on the TV broadcast is how far Adoree Jackson was playing off his guy, how far I think Keeley was playing off his guy, and Bennett just went in there, and it seemed like he was just on whoever he was covering. So it felt like I don't know. It felt like a guy who was a little more confident in his athleticism or his ability to stay with guys. So, but it does not seem like that is settled. It's just settled that it's not Keeley Ringo.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Now, I do think, if they would, answer the question honestly, they might say, you know what, we hope Jacorian Bennett has a great next 2 days of practice, a great final preseason game, and we're able to put him out there week one. And if not, we have Adoree who's, been here all off season, who's had a decent training camp, and like a veteran guy, we feel okay with that. But the other thing I would say is, we've, again, talked about this a lot, but I think it's time maybe they would seriously consider moving something of value for a corner. Like, if Keeley's not going to win this job, Adoree's on a one-year deal. I don't know if Jacorian Bennett or Mac McWilliams project as long-term starters there. Maybe they do sit there and go, you know what, if there's a corner that we give up a third for or even a second, and this guy can be the starter opposite Quinion for the next 4 years and his contract is manageable, maybe he has 2 years left on his rookie deal. I wonder if now, after 3 weeks of watching what they have, if they'd be more willing to give up something of value, like serious value, to get another young cornerback.
So with all this, questioned, it seems like, on the defense, that would suggest that the offense is taking big advantage of this, right, Eliot?
Yeah, so I thought Jalen had an A- day today. I
thought
he had,
which is really a B+.
Yeah, no, which is an A-. Really probably closer to an A than an A-. But I did think there was one throw he had. His worst throw of the day, we'll start there since you brought it up, Jack. But there was a deep shot he had to Devontae. It looked, when it was floating in the air, like maybe Makuba was going to pick it off, but it ended up being thrown over the heads of both of them. So he had that one bad throw. But outside of that, I thought he was really good today in situational football. They did a lot of 2-minute drill, third down, fourth down. And he had 3 plays that really stood out in those situations. First, on fourth down, he had a touchdown pass to Kylan Granson in the front of the end zone. There was pressure. He stepped up in the pocket, kept his eyes down the field, which, is always a good thing, but especially in practice where it can be so easy just to take off. Thought it was good that he did that and found Granson for the touchdown. And then early on in practice, when it was pouring, it was cold, it was gross out there, he had 2 third down throws, one to Goddard and one to Dotson, that I thought were pretty clutch given the situation. So he ended 15 to 23, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and I thought an A- day from the quarterback.
Well, third downs is what he's generally pretty good at, so I guess that's
pretty important down.
Pretty important down.
It's pretty clear that Jack is more cemented on the anti-Jalen thing than I am, I think.
100%.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, it makes me, how you can feel like you agree with somebody on something, but they're so far the other side, you almost feel like you're on the opposite side. Jack goes so far, I want to stop him sometimes.
Yep. I should I probably should stop, but I cannot. I cannot. Yeah. So, real quick, Eliot, I know it's not the most important thing, but did you notice maybe a little extra pep in Nick's step after the big conversation he had before practice?
Nick was in a good mood today. He was.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when Ike's around.
Yep.
Yeah. Ike rubs that off on people for sure. He makes them go moods. But no, I mean, I thought Nick seemed in a good mood for sure.
So a couple more things, Eliot. We haven't talked about the trade for John Metchie III, who played with Devontae Smith in college. I think everybody sort of raised their eyebrow at the fact that they were making a trade for a wide receiver, which it almost seemed like when you're trying to do the roster projection that they might have one too many already that you think might have a chance at the roster anyway. Any insight from you on why you think they traded for Metchie?
Yeah, I think they view this as a guy they liked coming out of the draft. He was a second-round pick, 44th overall, and they're trading him for, a fourth-string tight end that they signed in the offseason in case they didn't keep Goddard. So I think just simplistically they view this as, forget the rest of the roster. If you consistently trade for high draft picks that maybe hasn't worked out of their places, you'll hit on one and you get good value. So I think that's part of it. But also you bring up the 53-man roster. One thing that I thought was abundantly clear on Saturday is that the bottom of their roster is not strong. I know the guys out there on Saturday, at least on offense, won't be the ones, playing. But ultimately, the guys that look like they'll be spots 47 through 53 don't look that strong. So could they keep 7 receivers? Like, I know it sounds crazy, but who else really in spots 50 through 53 are out there that you can't cut them? So traditionally, they keep somewhere between 10 and 12 total receiver, tight ends, and running backs. And I wonder if this year, maybe they keep 2 running backs. They put A.J. Dillon on practice squad. They keep 3 tight ends, and, maybe those other 7 spots all go to receivers.
A.J. Dillon on practice squad?
Yeah, so this would be more of like a roster machination thing. He's been in the league long enough where if they cut him, he doesn't go through waivers. So they could potentially cut him, put him on practice squad for a few weeks, promote
just hide him there.
Well, he would play. You would bring him up, and it would basically just be a way to get someone through the 53.
Got it. You're saying that you're talking about the bottom of the roster. Watching DTR and Kyle McCord on Saturday.
Your boy Kyle McCord, by the way.
Well, first of all, he's a rookie, but everyone who thought I was crazy for not wanting to trade Tanner McKee, just go watch that game, and you tell me
you could find someone else.
But you would have to trade a pick for him. And you're getting a pick for Tanner. Like, they don't. Last year, they had 2 completely valid guys that could go in and play football in Kenny Pickett and Tanner McKee. This year, they only have 2. Like, they have Jalen and they have Tanner McKee. Those other 2 guys cannot win you NFL football games this year.
Well, so 2 things off of that. One, in credit to Tim McManus of ESPN, your boy, your favorite.
Okay.
Inside of the year candidate?
Exactly. I'll help him there. Like, he had a good note today that he noticed Tanner, like maybe his hand was hurt and he stopped doing team reps, towards the end of practice. So that's something to monitor going into tomorrow's practice. And also maybe a little noteworthy that he didn't play on Saturday. If he has something that's dealing with his hand. But the other thing I would say about the quarterbacks, I agree, both Kyle McCord and DTR are not ready to go into an NFL game and help the Eagles win. But I think people are being a little harsh on them for Saturday. What happened on offense on Saturday, and really by the whole team, I thought was an embarrassing performance. Like, they looked unprepared. Nobody played well. And I know people will go, well, it's just a preseason game. Who cares? I still think how you perform in preseason games, even if it's not your starters, can be a good indication of just how you're operating. Like how is the coaching getting through? How are the players learning the playbook? How are they playing clean football? And to only have 88 yards of offense, I thought was almost an alarming performance. So I'm not just writing that game off like everyone else is. When they don't play well for 2 days against Cleveland, and then they have an extremely poor performance on offense and really overall, I thought it was a rough week for the Eagles, and they had a good practice today, but I'm not just writing that Saturday game off as no big deal. I think that was a concerning performance.
Are you growing? Like, what's your concern level is probably unfair for preseason and training camp, but, like, where are you at with Patullo? After all of the training camps you've been to, the joint practices, again, it wasn't the most crisp performance on Saturday. I mean, is there some Brian Johnson concern here with Kevin Patullo?
So I don't think my opinion on Patullo has changed based off this, just because for me the Patullo job is going to be to counter this year, right? So in training camp, I don't know if you're really seeing that. And now, to be fair, when they were really good in week 1 of the preseason, I thought it was a good sign for Patullo. So I definitely think, like everybody else, he deserves blame for how poor they played on Saturday. I just don't think we have an answer yet on if Patullo can pass the biggest test. Like, I believe Patullo can run the offense from last year, can call the plays. Like, I don't think that's the concern. The concern is if this thing starts to go south on offense, is someone in that building going to be able to come up with a plan to get it going? And I think that's where we'll get our Patullo answer.
2 more quick ones, Eliot. Number 1, it seems like the Trey Hendrickson thing is heating up again. I feel like we have the same conversation every time, and I always end it at like, if they told us there's no money, then where's the money to pay Trey Hendrickson? But do you think we were talking last week, ESPN ranked the Eagles edge unit 31st in the NFL. Now we could hem and haw and say maybe it's not 31, but like that does say something. Do you think they would get involved with Trey Hendrickson?
So Hendrickson's always been one that I've thought there was a better chance than others of them acquiring. Like, if you were going to acquire Myles Garrett, you were going to have to pay him. If you acquire Micah Parsons, you're going to have to pay him. I do think there's a world where you trade, let's say, a second and somebody else for Hendrickson, and maybe you only tweak his deal, or maybe it's a 2-year deal, or, he wants to perform for a year on a team that's going to be on a ton of big games and maybe up his value. So I would put the chances of them acquiring Trey Hendrickson as small, but I think they are higher than other edges out there, just because I'm not sure it comes with that huge payday on the other end.
Last one for me. Do you think A.J. Brown is going to play week 1? And, he still is not practicing. Should we be concerned about A.J. Brown? Is there going to be a point where we're like, oh, my God, is A.J. Brown going to be ready for game 1?
So I don't think there is concern that A.J. will play week 1. I think he will be out there. He did not practice today, but he was out on the field. He was, jogging around. He seemed in good spirits. He didn't strike me as a player who is concerned about, where his hamstring is at. My concern with A.J. is he going to be 100%? Or is this going to be something where he'll ramp it up that final week for the Cowboys game, and then he'll just play with whatever percent he is at that point? Because he did practice last week. He did some individual work, and now he's not. And, Nick won't say if that's a setback or not, but I don't know how else you would view that. He was hurt. He started to do some stuff, and then he stopped. So my concern is mostly with the hamstring. It's so hard in season to fully recover as an athlete. You're practicing during the week, you're playing every week, and it's especially true with leg injuries. So my worry would be he's not going to be 100% for week 1, and this is something that is just hampering him, for the beginning part of the year, if not all year.
Speaking of AJ, he was number 29 on the NFL 100. We still have not seen Jalen. Do you think it's possible, Eliot, that Jalen Hurts is not even on the NFL top 100 list?
So I think it's possible, but
Interesting. Why would you think that?
Well, because he hasn't been on it yet. That's why I would guess it's possible. But hey, Bryce finished 33rd, so it seems like if he is on it, he's going to finish higher than Bryce did. But no, I think he will probably be on it, just because I don't know how you go from 2 to 15 to off. They were still winning a ton of games. He's still top of people's mind. I do think he's relatively popular around the league. So my guess is he will still be on it. But, look, when this thing was voted on, he was not playing well. So it wouldn't just completely shock me.
Voted on by players toward the end of the regular season.
Yeah.
So.
Did you pop a bottle of champagne when you saw Zach Wheeler go on the 15-day IL? Because you think maybe you're right about his ranking?
When I heard you had one more question with me, I figured it was going to be Phillies related. But I guess you went with it.
We don't care.
Hey. I don't know how much this changes things. They were only ever going to go deep if their bats got hot. So on one hand, yes, of course, losing him is a big deal. On the other hand, I don't know how much it really changes stuff.
Burn the boats. Burn the boats.
Yeah, I think even without him, their starting pitching is not as good, but it's still good enough. If they only score 2 runs a game, they're losing with Zach Wheeler too.
Now,
they showed that last year.
What I will say, though, is if the Eagles lost Quinion, that would be a massive loss. That would have a big impact on the defense.
All right, there he is, Eliot Shorr-Parks.